Good night and welcome to Let Her Finish podcast. We have here a new guest tonight. Her name is Brina, as you can see. Yeah, you know, she cut her hair. She's a new girl, you know. New sab.
Who this?
So now we will start distinguishing between Sabrina and Brina B.
Nice. I like it. I can finally be called by my first name, Brina B. I like it. Keep going.
Oh my God.
Anyways, we actually want to start off on a light topic today. One of our members here was approached by someone who had a very interesting question, a very interesting topic. She wanted us to touch on briefly if women should be allowed to go on their man's phone. Take it away, Aishira.
Short answer.
What was the exact question? That's exactly what she asked you?
No, it was like if a woman feels getting access to your spouse's phone without permission. Without permission. And of course, that implies that you have a certain feeling and you want to find out some information, so you're going to go snooping on the phone.
That's such a nice way to say it. Yeah. I just went into my spouse's or partner's phone without permission.
Just to find out the information. So the short answer, ladies?
Yes.
No, my response is if you have a trust problem, if you have a trust problem,
go in the phone.
Go right pick it up. Check those
I was gonna say if you have a trust problem, then maybe you need to part ways. But
that's a diplomatic thing to say. But no woman.
What did you
but
tell her?
It's true.
Well, I tell her.
We went to
discuss it.
Yeah, I'd say we're gonna bring it.
I think going into the phone right away is a very emotional response. And yes, we are emotional beings, all of us, including men. I think the more mature thing, and I'm talking right now with my left side of the brain, meaning my logical side, would be like, hey, honey, I have a feeling that you No, this is my logical side. Have a little discussion before being like, you know what? I hear going to.
One thing I will say though, if you're going to go through the phone, be ready for anything.
Exactly.
What comes out, you gotta be ready to take
all that.
Exactly, you gotta be able to take it at that point and do whatever action you feel necessary. But most of the time, you already you have an inkling. You know, they have that thing boiled up.
In the gut,
And then you ask the question, and it's no. And why you so jealous? Why you have something against you? And them kind of things. So you know what you do? You go and you find out the password.
Don't
get in there.
take this.
If you want to know something, if I get triggered to know something, I going to.
And usually women do have this sense that sometimes they don't listen to it, but when they do listen to it, it ends up being something legitimate.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Let me just say that doesn't justify it. It's wrong to go in your spouse's phone.
But it's not stereotypical to women. I feel like a whole bunch of men that's been doing it on the other side. Like you'll be
try to hold it
check
down.
what's in your Facebook messages. Who's DMing you? Why you got 6 requests?
Yeah, exactly.
So
why these people liking your pictures?
But then, yeah. I mean, we could.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, because the thing is, you could go more deeper into this topic of the source and should we really react to certain things? Why is she liking my picture or why is she looking at you? We could really go into that if it is a legitimate reason to be concerned, right? But today we're not going to go into that. We're going to stream off into another serious topic. Today we wanted to touch on the Jussie Smollet situation. I don't know if you guys heard about it and what happened to him.
Allegedly.
He was allegedly, and allegedly assaulted on a subway in Chicago on his way home. The two guys apparently made racist comments to him and comments about his sexual orientation. They also were yelling MAGA country, or this is MAGA country, really stemming from Donald Trump and his white supremacists.
And this is a guy on Empire, the guy.
And this is the guy on Empire. Apparently, he's gay. He's an openly gay black man.
Right.
And it was he was allegedly assaulted, and the reason why we emphasize allegedly is I'm not sure what the story is. But
It's not true. Like, so he was not assaulted. Like,
But they don't.
No,
they just don't
know
have.
for sure what happened.
what
This is
did he
his
say?
story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But again, this is the he says, she
Yes.
But did
says
he go
thing.
to the ER and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
pictures and the...
Well, they have pictures of his face. You could see that he was assaulted. They're still looking for. They looked at videotapes. They suspect. They have some pictures out of 2 persons that were around that time.
I just thought it happened. Like, when I read the story.
That's how people just went crazy,
Yeah.
like it happened. But you can't determine for sure without the other side of the story if it was homophobic. I mean, I don't want to question whether what he's saying, if he said it, because we don't know.
But he
It's
came
being
up with
tough.
some wild things because there was in the article that they said they put a noose around his
Yeah, so
neck.
that's why
And
I feel like that was
that's
his explanation as to what happened.
They
But
put
even
bleach on
if there
him.
needs to be an investigation to
unidentified
determine
chemical,
if those
yeah.
things are true, you know.
But
I want to believe him, but at the end of the day, it's his side of the story, and we need to see the other.
I agree with you, but I also think that we shouldn't minimize the fact that hate crimes do exist, right? And especially right now in the Trump era, because he is basically giving people a gateway to execute these hate crimes and be racist. So it's really and it's hard because it's hard and it's unfortunate because when hate crimes do actually happen, and now in this case it's allegedly happening, sometimes you can't really tell now in this era what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you want to believe it because it's, so they say, hate crimes have increased ever since Trump was elected. But
to me, the reason why I hadn't read the articles of this, did it happen or did it not, but I think it just highlights a case. If that didn't happen, it's like 20 other cases that
did.
just happened like this, but like we didn't hear about it. So it's no denying that, one, there is hate crimes against race, and 2, against homophobia. So the fact that he was like a black gay man, like it kind of like reinforces that, okay, if this didn't happen here, it's still an issue that's within the community, that you could even see like in the black community that people, for instance, wouldn't agree with, like, homosexuality or stuff like that. So it's like double on double. And I can't.
Absolutely.
And I messaged this on the article someone posted on Facebook, and I said I could only imagine for black trans people, like how much cases there are for that. Like that's even.
And not even that, we too forget also the religious group, the religious minorities, and I know Sabrina brought up a Facebook post that she came across the other day where people were actually defending this assault. And I feel like if you do not align yourself as like a supremacist in any way, then you are part of the other. So as long as you are part of the other, you should defend and protect, because you could be part of it. So, as a black person in the States, and I want to emphasize the States because we see that a lot now, especially with the Trump era, but you are part of a minority, and these things could happen to you. It doesn't matter if what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation, and the fact that people hide behind their religious beliefs to say that, I don't believe in homosexuality, does not. At the end of the day, like Sabrina said on her post, she was like, it's about putting yourself on, and we are all humans, putting us on an equal platform, and that's where it stems from.
I feel like you don't have to agree with the person's preference to defend them. Like if you see something is happening to them on a human level, like you don't want to see somebody get killed or hurt.
Yeah, but that is so telling. It's so telling about our society, and that's why I like the conversation, that it's so revealing. And many people, like, they know me as like an LGBT activist or so, but this is the reason why. Because you see someone say, because I don't believe in your lifestyle, it's okay for you to be assaulted. I don't have to pick up for you as a human being because we have different beliefs. That to me is telling, and that is my criticism and of persons who claim to be religious, Christian or whatever, because they allow it to happen. And this is just this is just the top of it because it's a celebrity. But this happens right here in St. Martin, from our schools to the government to the private sector, where these vulnerable groups are ostracized because of who they are.
And I was about to say, you said maybe here we don't feel it so much with the racial tension, but when it comes to the homosexuality, I feel like that's something we very much can relate to.
The thing is, you know, what boggles my mind is institutions protect it. There's no we don't come out and we don't stand up for it, and you know, it boils down to what we really need to start preaching is understanding, acceptance, and love. Because once you understand that me and you, despite we look different, we may be different, but at the end of the day, we are human. We are human beings. So once we could get to that point of understanding, like no matter what your sexual orientation is, no matter what your religious beliefs are, we still need to be treated equally.
Well, some people believe that hate speech shouldn't be criminalized. Some people actually champion these things. Like, no matter what I
could say what I want to say.
But this is a part where I find,
to me, words are so powerful.
They are, because look at this. Where did we first hear that homosexuality is wrong? And how did it come to translate to someone seeing me as less human because of what I am? It started with words. It started with words. It started with a narrative. So how can you say we shouldn't criminalize hate speech, or we shouldn't at least stop it or fine people for it? Because it stems from where it is. It doesn't start with me hating you. It starts with me telling my child, oh, that's a gay, that's a faggot, that's a batty. That's what it is. Burn them in the songs that you play in the club, DJs. Let me just say, artists.
We don't want hair.
That's where it starts. Yeah, I'm super passionate about this type of thing, because this is where we ostracize our own people, and I'm not here for it. No, we gotta get serious about it.
No, I agree. And the thing is, a lot of people also use an excuse. Oh, this is how I was raised, and they don't know any better. Let's say, and I do not. I agree. I think your environment is everything, but I feel like, yes, you are not responsible for what you were fed in your childhood, but you have a responsibility as an adult, to fix it.
Yeah. But I think as much like when I started when I went down Facebook dark hole of feuding with someone and saying, let me try to word my opinion in a way that is trying to be objective, trying to be understanding. And what I was getting from people is, at least because I don't consider myself very religious, so do I think homosexuality is a sin? No, I do not. But people raised in that narrative, raised in like that, that is what they believe in. It is something wrong. It is something, it's a sin. So like to really convince someone of, like, to say that this is just their lifestyle and you need to accept it, I think that is where you're having the blocking, because
you said, they grew up in this, right?
Yeah. So they don't think it's hard. Wrong. Exactly. So, like, as Anissa said, they need to just correct it, and they need to accept it.
But it takes some time for them to correct.
And I agree 100%, because the hardest thing for a human being to do is self-reflect. So when you look at yourself and you say, oh, but these are my beliefs, and you start questioning, that's why I don't think Facebook is an efficient way to combat ignorance. Is because you can't have a dialogue, right? You cannot inspire a person to question why, right? Why do I think this way? And I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that because it's very hard for somebody to stand up and say, I was wrong. I actually my belief about this was wrong. And that's why I have a quote that I always just tell myself. To live is to die and die again, meaning that you are like a snake, right? You shed your skin. Right. You have to be willing to let go of all these indoctrinated beliefs that you have in order to really look, right? Self-reflect. And it's hard for people to do that because it's contradicting to your core.
But I think it's the dark hole of Facebook. I've been in that.
I feel like Facebook
is
the worst to try to convince people.
Yeah, I feel like
you have to tag team with these things. You can't go, it depends. It's a number thing. It's a one-on-one. It's a two versus one.
Sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I I really
and that's why I ain't on Facebook because I'm not about to convince nobody.
But what I think is that
There's a method,
there's a seed that you plant, even if it's not effective right now, that conversation, but somebody else read your comment, and somewhere down the line it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's like saying a message, and you like teaching kids, a classroom full of kids something, maybe only 3 will remember what you say, and then the other 3,
and then maybe the group will catch it on later on in life. They'll be like,
exactly.
this is
and it happens a lot. And but what the key is not to lose yourself in the conversation. See, without the green, you're going to dark.
When you're in all caps,
and you fling the whole computer off. Trust me, I had many a time when I want to fling the phone, and certain conversations will still make that happen.
But I have a method that I think, well, I don't know if it works, but I like to believe it works. I always, whenever I'm counter arguing, I always start with, I understand your point. I want to seem like I'm objective and I'm listening to them. I am.
Now you go with but.
Like, I understand you, because I think that is when it comes to debate and trying to change someone's mind, I think you always have to really try to understand it from their perspective. Yes. Because that is the best way you're going to counter argue it. If you understand how they think and like, okay, well, this is probably how they're thinking.
If you are arguing with somebody that is not even thinking like you,
I know.
They just have a wall. Whatever you say, and I feel like on Facebook you just have that a lot. Like people just they have their opinion.
But some people are just trolls. Some people just trolls, and no matter what you do,
they hide behind a computer. You don't see them. I mean, it's easy to say anything, right? Like they ain't seeing me.
And it's almost, I almost feel like when it comes to the internet that they have no consistency. They just always want to be against you for something. And that's like, whatever, you for this or I'm against it. No, you for this,
but
I'm against it.
This is where the lack of understanding comes from, because you coming from a point where I want to prove my point and I want to prove you wrong. Unlike you come in here like, I want to understand where you coming from and I want to understand your point, and being open to accepting that, maybe I could be wrong in my thinking, or maybe, this person could be right, but I also could be right. But coming from that instead of being like, I'm going to try and prove you wrong.
Yeah, you got to.
It's like, I'm right and
you're wrong. And it's not like that. It's a very gray area.
And for that, you're never going to have that sort of agreement or change within communities where you're like, you know what, maybe it's like a give and take. Saying, okay, in this issue I may have been wrong, but this issue I'm sure I'm right in. Right. If you always have that I'm right always and you block that wall,
it's about
not gonna happen.
Things gonna stay forever. But speaking of social media, I don't know if you guys have watched the Fyre Festival documentary.
Oh my God. I did.
I have not.
Yes. Have you watched both? Because there's a Netflix and a Hulu one.
No, I have not watched
I only watched the Netflix one.
I didn't watch the Hulu one, But I heard the Netflix one was the best, and it really
I did watch it.
Is it two different perspectives?
Yeah, because actually the guy who directed or started this whole Fyre Festival, he is interviewed in Hulu. So it's giving his perspective now.
Oh, Billy?
So what is this whole Fyre Festival?
You haven't?
I catch piece of it, but I'm like...
So basically it shows, honestly, the power of influence.
Let's explain that. Because the Fyre Festival was an event or a festival that was supposed to take place in the Bahamas. Right. So they initially planned this whole
Billy.
This guy Billy. He basically decided, we're gonna have a festival in the Bahamas, and they started to market it, right? And to me, what it seemed like the marketing was bigger than anything else, like the logistics of it. So coming down to it, like the marketing was so great that they got sold out. And coming to the end of it, they could not deliver. It was just like a mess. Not even a fraction of what they portrayed, So it was like a flop. The people got there and there was no acts. It was tents instead of villas.
It was pure deception. That's what it was. He used his influence. He used marketing.
He used social media. He used influencers.
All these like models who are influencers on social media with millions and millions of followers. like Kendall Jenner,
Billy had he does Billy
Bella Hadid.
Basically all the models that you know.
the top
So
models.
he paid them to advertise this.
Yeah, so before you know when you're doing your promo and stuff, so months in advance they came to Bahamas, they flew down.
They were on a
They were
yacht.
on a
They
yacht.
had
They were
music.
taking
They said
pictures.
they bought Pablo Escobar's
Paris
island, and then they
yeah.
was like, you know.
So it was a beautiful festival with these artists on the beach, and then it was
Yeah,
nothing.
so the marketing was on point, and then when
Yeah.
it's time to plan the event,
he hired
everything was
all these
going wrong.
Bahamians. He hired all these Bahamians to help set up or whatever. Anyways, it turned out that he never paid them. The catering company that he had hired to cater the meals never paid them. The woman, I think she spent how much of her savings?
Yeah, she
Like
said to pay.
100,000 of her savings.
Over 200 people were building the site and stuff,
Right.
which they end up not
paid.
using really because
And
it was
Ja
nothing.
Rule was also a partner in this.
Right.
As-
So was
But actually, the funny thing is, at the end of it, he just kind of threw his hands up.
What's he gonna do?
I'm not associated with this.
Ja Rule?
Yes.
No, Ja Rule, like from that, I was like, changed my perception, Ja Rule, because after when it happened and they were like, okay, flop. Now, and I remember this specifically because I didn't see the marketing of the festival, but I saw basically when
It was going down.
when it was going
too.
down, like people started to
Yes.
post videos of the tents,
sandwiches.
and it was
Yeah.
literally like World War III. It looked chaotic, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very entertaining to watch.
Yes, yes, it was.
From behind the computer, but like after that all happened, they kind of like came together in a meeting room, and in the documentary, and you could just feel the tension. Like everyone's like, "Well, that happened," and then Ja Rule was like, "Nah, man, we good. You don't see those
This
Samsung.
is a fraud.
You
This
didn't
is
see,
a fraud.
yeah, you don't see those Samsung phones exploding, but everybody's okay with Samsung." And I was like, "Oh
So,
God,
so basically, it's like the power of
He was like an
influence.
investor in it?
Well, yeah, he was like a
Yeah.
partner in the power
Okay.
of influence and the power of social media, and how this guy really deceived and manipulated. People paid thousands and thousands of dollars to
Rich
show
people
up
though.
on
And
this.
then I feel
Rich
so
people.
bad though, 'cause
Yeah,
I was
to
like-
show up on this island. He
And they were abandoned.
And they were abandoned, and they didn't pay the locals on the
Yeah.
island. And this guy just.
Imagine you saying you're going to an event abroad, you reach there, and then you're like a little tent.
You paid, and it says top money that. And there was one point where they were like saying, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have these wristbands, and all the payments
yes.
are gonna happen on these wristbands."
So put your money on them.
Upload the money. So people are putting $100,000 on this, $10,000.
Why should you think that's
It was supposed to be like a festival for like the elite.
Yeah, like
And the elite got scammed out because
yeah. Well, you don't feel so bad, right?
Yeah, but
I had something on Twitter was like the joy when rich people get like food, like yeah, it was just.
And I think the point with the social media was when it came to the models, so they did the promo video, and then I think after when they went back to wherever they're based, at a certain time everyone was like posting the kind of like the orange child, and that was to hype it up. It was like Fyre Festival branding, and but the way that they made it seem is like none of them had put like that it was an ad, so it just made it seem like
So
they
it's
just made
So
it
because they kind of was like,
But then
do you get sued after
Yes.
because Billy got sued and everything.
right.
So do you sue these
the-
influencers
yeah.
who also promoted and encouraged this?
Because I mean, one, I was like, look, they were paid to do advertising, but it was the method of I think the method of advertising. When you send advertising on TV or somewhere else, you know the context of it. You're like, this person got paid. But when it comes Instagram is so
it's so personal.
it's so closely related with real life. I was like, oh, Kendall Jenner is really endorsing this festival, or she's gonna be a part of this festival.
But I saw
I like that now you have to put that it's
Yes,
an ad.
yeah.
You
That
have
is
to
what I
put
saw.
it.
I
I
saw
find
that,
that
and
that's
that's
so
great.
like
But my question is now after the fact, what is the right thing to do? And I know there is no right and wrong, but for these models, like, what do you guys think is a more moral thing to do now?
I feel like if you put ad in front of it, then I hold you less accountable.
Right.
But if you put something that like you are personally going to it and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome and I'm going to it, it's making me sound like
When you adore something like that, you associate yourself with it.
Your
So
brand,
and that becomes a
reputation.
consequence to yourself. So that's why I think they need to, like, I mean, when you don't put ad and stuff like that, you need to be very careful what you associate with yourself with. You can get the money easily, quickly, but like I don't think any of them thought that festival was gonna turn out like that. But that's a consequence you pay. And now you're part of that. And what
your name is tied to it in a way.
What I felt bad, I was like, okay, I didn't really feel bad for the people who paid their tickets because, I mean, okay, I feel bad. Maybe I expect that they get a refund at least. Whether they should be...
Did they get a refund?
No, that's why I hope that they get a refund at least. But like what I was expecting is that everyone involved to help locally as
and
to
that's
what happened.
My question was, morally, was the right thing to do?
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, like these consumers, you bought something, you didn't get it. But to what happened locally, I didn't like
it was
and you should have like a sense of heavy heart that you take your $200,000 that you get for this ad and you're like, oh, that's so smooth.
Yeah, and 200 workers
didn't
never
get
got
paid for a whole month of work, and the lady by her restaurant. That part was so sad. Like,
and the thing is, her point was like, I can't leave. I from here. Like, I cannot leave my people here. Like, absolutely with nothing.
Yeah, so she had to make her savings and all kind of stuff.
I was telling my sister, it hit really close to home because, like, you know, I work for a tourism bureau, and we see these, that, you know, people come in for these kind of sponsorships. So, like, to think someone came in and like he had the charisma of like everything going to be alright. I'm sure like the whoever helped him there locally, the Bahamians or the local tourism bureau, they didn't expect that this was going to turn. They're like, oh my God, this is a money-making thing. Let's give him the sponsorships, because I know they said in the documentary the Minister of Tourism was after them because they needed to.
Also, the Minister of like, well, they owed customs and those kind of stuff, so they had to pay after. So I mean, and they give them lenient. They're like, you know, take the water and you could pay after, and all of that come back to bite you.
So that could have happened here. That could have
definitely happened.
He could have come here and then be like, oh, I need a whole bunch of local St. Martiners to come work for me. He go, I don't know, by some St. Martin restaurant and then just
build up a credit.
Can you imagine? That's detrimental to a small island.
So how you to protect yourself from these type of things? Maybe there's guarantee letters.
I feel like you have to do more due diligence. Like, I don't know this guy's track record. He didn't have. He had like a small track.
He came in and he was acting like, you know, like he has so much money here.
And that's why I call it pure deception and manipulation, because he was only going based on
and they thought he was a millionaire.
I just want to add, if you didn't watch it. So he got arrested for this, and then he went out on bail. And while he was out on bail, he started another scam.
Yes.
So that's when you know this man's pure trash.
Yes.
This man's pure trash. I was like, show him away.
That is psychotic.
They call him psychotic. What do they call him in the documentary? High-functioning psychopath. And that exact, I feel like that's what he was.
You remember the part where he was talking to the man who had previously been to jail, and he was like, yeah, you know, because he was talking to him saying, you know, this is how it's going to be in jail. You know, it's rough, but you know, eventually just pay your time and you know, get out and change your life. And the man, Billy, was looking at him like, oh, I'm not going to jail. Like he was
so
just
confident,
like,
so he really convinced himself that he's not going to jail after what he did.
On bail, scamming people again.
No, I'm not going to jail. That's like white people. That was like white privilege.
That's white privilege. That's such a white privilege.
I was like, oh my God, this man, like.
Anyways, so guys, this was a nice discussion.
Social media,
Watch out for all social media influencers. Don't believe everything. Amen.
Exactly.
You take the words right
Sorry.
I think people need to also question the things that they've been taught.
Right.
With you know, and look out for people that are more vulnerable than yourself. We need to do better.
Yes. And also be willing to be open and accepting and understanding of other people's opinions, beliefs,
lifestyles.
Because
we are all human
beings.
Amen.
So. Don't fall into the Facebook black hole.
Anyway, see you next time.